And coming up in this broadcast, NDC vows to embark on street protest to force the Electoral Commission to conduct a forensic audit of the provisional voter register.
On the 17th of this month, the NDC is embarking on a massive nationwide demonstration in all 16 regional capitals. Descend on the Electoral Commission offices, and we in Accra will descend to the headquarters and present further petitions as to why we think that they should conduct themselves in a manner.
We have details of that for you, plus tell you how many political parties and independent presidential aspirants have filed nominations to contest the 2024 elections. Also ahead in this broadcast, CocoaBoard CEO potentially sparks diplomatic role as he attributes increase in rates of smuggling of cocoa beans in the country to activities of Russians.
You see, the smuggling that is taking place today is being fueled by these Russians who are in Guinea-Bissau in that area.
And later in this broadcast, we'll tell you why President Akufo-Addo feels there is a deliberate attempt to label his government, his family, and himself as corrupt.
I'm aware that there's a deliberate, politically motivated effort to stigmatize my government, my family, and myself as corrupt. I suspect as payback for the damaging allegations of corruption leveled against members of the erstwhile Mahama administration.
Plus his defense of the Chief Justice's proposal for more Supreme Court judges.
The recent proposal by the Chief Justice to appoint additional judges to the Supreme Court, which some have criticized, was a necessary and well-considered action to maintain the strength and efficiency of the judiciary. It is important to note that even in the United States, President Joe Biden has recognized the need for judicial reform.
And later on the campaign trail, we sit with a deputy communications director of the governing New Patriotic Party on the chances of their flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. There are details of these and many other stories coming up in this broadcast. Do stay.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takoradi, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rich and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Thank you very much for choosing Starr today. Once again, I am Tutuwaa Danso. Now, today has been a busy day at the Electoral Commission's office as various political parties and independent presidential aspirants trooped there to file their nominations ahead of the December polls. Now, the first to file his nomination ahead of the December polls was the flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who was accompanied by party executives and campaign team members. He expressed hope in winning and called on Ghanaians to protect the country's democracy. My colleague Musa Lansa was there and has come through with this report.
Accompanied by national executives of the NPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia arrived at the corporate offices of the Electoral Commission to present his nomination papers. General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong Kujia, disclosed that all documents required by the Electoral Commission are intact.
We have the voter's ID card of his running mate, Dr. Matthew Prempe. Attached is also the tax clearance certificate of Dr. Matthew Prempe. Then, audit service under Declaration of Assets and Liability under Article 286 of 1992 Constitution is also cleared by the audit service. Then finally, we also have his background checked by the Criminal Investigation Department, and just as his boss is also clean. So, Madam Chair, without wasting my time, I want to officially present this documentation to you for your acceptance and perusal.
Receiving the documents from the NPP, Chairperson of the EC, Jean Mensah, disclosed that 2 teams have been set up to review them and revert.
As part of the Commission's efforts to ensure a transparent, credible, and accountable process, the Commission has developed a detailed checklist that embodies the criteria to be satisfied by presidential candidates as prescribed by law. The checklist will guide the scoring and awarding of marks by teams established by the Commission to scrutinize and review each nomination form submitted. As in 2020, the Commission has established 2 teams which have been tasked to review all forms submitted. The technical team has been tasked to review forms to ensure that the presidential candidates meet the qualifications as set out by law, namely that the candidate is at least 40 years of age, that he or she has satisfied all tax obligations, and that he or she has nominated a vice presidential candidate, among others.
While praying for peace ahead of the elections, the NPP flag bearer expressed optimism that the elections will further cement Ghana's democratic credentials.
I want to pray and ask that we all pray for God's blessings for our dear country, Ghana, because we are embarked on this process, which is an election, and these are part of the processes towards the December 7th election. And we need God to continue to bless our country. What we are trying to do is to help uplift our country. We don't want to tear down our country. And so it's very important that our country is uplifted after the election.
Aside from the governing NPP, parties such as the Liberal Party of Ghana, the New Force, All People's Congress, and the opposition National Democratic Congress are all expected to file their nominations Monday.
That was a report filed by my colleague Musa Lansa and voiced by Eko Boache. Meanwhile, the nomination papers of the flag bearer of the NDC was submitted by the national chairman of the party, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Speaking after the presentation of the forms, Mr. Asiedu Nketia said, all indications show that the NDC will win the elections, hence the need for the Electoral Commission to play a neutral role.
There are all indications that change is in the air. So we just crave your indulgence to secure the peace of the country before, during, and after the elections. We wish to urge the Commission to also play their role as a neutral umpire. We have concerns about the process so far, and I believe we are engaging. That is the purpose of the engagement, so that we can get mutual conclusions that are acceptable to everybody. But we are not going to see over our rights at all getting into these elections. And so we are hopeful that the Commission will listen to us very well and discharge their responsibilities in a manner that will be satisfactory to all participating parties.
Asiedu Nketia also announced plans by the party to embark on a demonstration across the 16 regions of the country to press home their demands for the officials of the EC to conduct themselves in an acceptable manner ahead of the December polls.
There, we held a public forum covered countrywide at Alisa Hotel, and all those who had issues were called to ventilate those issues, and those who had responses were also asked to do the responses. A report was presented, and we all went into the elections satisfied with the outcome. And so I don't think that this should, a commission that is interested in its own credibility and in the population accepted the credibility of the results of their work, would have any problems at all. If you don't have anything to hide, why are you running away? And you have been asking us. We have issues about missing BVRs and all that, which I cannot, enumerate here. And you, the media people, were with some of our people who intercepted and retrieved one of the stolen BVDs. So far, we don't have any response. We don't have any feedback as to how the progress is being made on the case involving those who allegedly have been arrested here at your commission and so on. This all generates some amount of, cloud suspicion and all that. And so, those of you who have been asking us, if they don't comply, what would you do? This is your answer. On the 17th of this month, the NDC is embarking on a massive nationwide demonstration in all 16 regional capitals. Descend on the Electoral Commission offices, and we in Accra will descend to the headquarters and present further petitions as to why we think that they should conduct themselves in a manner that will guarantee peaceful, free, and fair elections. I hope you will be with us, you follow us, and we see where that takes us.
Johnson Esiedu Nketia is the national chairman of the opposition NDC. And right after filing of nominations by the flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, those of the Liberal Party of Ghana, New Force and All People's Congress, as well as an independent presidential aspirant, came in to file theirs. They all expressed confidence in winning the December polls. But before we take a listen to them, let me have a conversation with my colleague, Calvin Powell, who monitored how the processes went. Calvin, thank you very much. So far, how many political parties and independent candidates have filed their nominations?
All right, so in all, we have 8 presidential candidates.
Just for today?
Yeah, just for today, filing their nomination papers. And among the 8, 3 are independent candidates. Well, we have 5 as political parties. So if you indulge me, let me quickly glance through and give you their names. So the first person to file was the NPP's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Of course, he's the vice president and he's contesting on the NPP ticket as well, and followed by Kofi Apalu, the founder and leader of Liberal Party of Ghana. Then after him, our favorite, or your favorite, let me say.
I have no favorite.
You have favorites. You have favorite. That doesn't mean you are going to vote for him, but you like him in a way. So Cheddar, Nana Kwame Bediako of the New Force was the 3rd presidential candidate to file his nomination papers. After which, an independent candidate in the name of Samuel Api Dankwa. Yes, he also filed his nomination, and he was so forceful that he was going to create something that has never happened.
Does he have a political party?
No, he doesn't have a political party.
Or just a movement?
Yes, he doesn't even have a tag or a name per se. Just
he was just there.
Yeah, independent candidate.
And you say he's Samuel
Api Dankwa.
Api Dankwa,
yeah.
Right.
So after him, another person also came by the name of George Chum Berima. Yes, sir.
He's the one that says that he's going to break the 2.
No, it's actually Dankwa. It's Dankwa that said he's going to break the NDC MPP duopoly. And he was quite confident if you listen to him. But as to if that confidence will translate into number of votes on December 7,
we'll find out together.
To find out. And of course, our largest opposition party, NDC, came by and also filed their nomination. And the delegation was led by the national party chairman, the person of Johnson Asiedu Nketia.
So Mr. Mahama himself wasn't there?
No, he wasn't there.
Okay.
He wasn't there.
Okay.
The people that came on his behalf has to do with Johnson Asiedu Nketia, Omani Boama, the General Secretary Fifi Abikote, Akogan, and a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah, a whole lot. They came to file the nomination on his behalf.
Right. Usually when these things are happening, there's a buzz around it. Was this time any different? Did you see the buzz from the larger, two political parties?
Yes, you can't take that away from the NPP and the NDC. They are foot soldiers or supporters, if you like, were there in their numbers to actually lend their support to them. And you know the usual thing, the screaming, the jama and everything. They came in full force and they showed up in their number. I engaged quite a number of them, and they were so happy to have their presidential candidates come by to file their nominations. But after filing the nomination, the EC made some instructive statements of note that the mere fact that you filed your nomination doesn't mean that you are qualified to see your picture or any other document or particulars on the ballot box.
Absolutely.
So they've actually established two committees, technical committee and the IT committee, where the technical committee is tasked to actually scrutinize whether you are up to 40 years, first of all. Secondly, you have at least 2 persons, qualified registered voters in each district endorsing your forms.
Okay.
And you must also have a nomination of a vice presidential candidate. So you need to provide all these things. So the technical team will scrutinize and make sure that all these things are provided.
Right.
And also your tax compliance.
Okay.
If you are a fan of evading or avoiding tax,
you're likely to be disqualified.
disqualified.
I see. So in all, how many political parties? 4 or 5? 5 with 3 independent candidates.
So the independent candidate has to do with Nana Kwame Bediako. You know, he formed the new force, but he was unable to register it as a political party.
Okay,
yes,
so he filed as an independent
candidate.
Right.
And Samuel Apidankwa, also an independent candidate, and also, of course,
George
George
Chumberima. I believe you interacted with some of these independent candidates.
Yes.
Can we take a listen now?
I think that once we are able to let Ghanaians know that we are a viable, campaign, they would look our way in the elections. We are all part of the duopoly. We also voted for some people in the last election. So if we are ready for change, everybody is ready for change. Everybody is amenable to change. So yes.
It's a different year, different election, different process. So we should expect to see the APC become the third force of this country. And I'm calling Ghanaians listening that you can only make me a third force if you come out to vote. Don't believe in saying that if we vote for a third force, it will happen. There is no third force unless you make it happen. So I'm calling on the electorate, wherever you are listening to Hassan Araga today and the team of the APC.
Well, you just heard from some presidential aspirants, including the APC, Hassan Araga, and then Apia Dankwa. Calvin, what more are we to expect from today?
Well, today, the day has actually come to a close in terms of filing nominations.
So subsequently,
we have 2 segments from 9 to 12 and 2 to 5.
Okay.
So after the NDC came, no one was expected to come in.
Do we know who is coming tomorrow?
No, it's not mentioned. But tomorrow we are not having nominations filed until Wednesday. So that will be communicated by the Electoral Commission. As of when they make all the necessary lists available.
Right, Calvin, thank you very much. He's my colleague and has been monitoring developments on the ground. Meanwhile, newly elected flag bearer of the PNC, Bernard Mona, has urged his opponents to collaborate with him to enhance the fortunes of the party in the December polls. Now, Mr. Mona defeated former leader of the party, David Apasara, in the party's just-ended Congress. The new NPC leader believes unity will ensure good results at the end of the polls. Well, he spoke to the media shortly after winning the presidential slot. Take a listen.
The Congress, which was initially scheduled to start at 9 a.m., faced delays due to an injunction filed by the 2020 flag bearer of the party, David Apasara. However, the party managed to resolve the disputes, allowing the Congress to proceed smoothly. At the end of the polls, Bernard Mona garnered 1,138 votes, whilst his challenger, David Apasara, managed to secure 216 votes. Tensions, however, erupted as party activists mounted pressure at the conclusion of the presidential primaries as agents of the various aspirants challenged the results declared by the Electoral Commission.
We are dealing with the results from the field. We are not dealing with what you have. Where you had your results.
Let us go to president. President, let us go to president. President. Ambassador had 5, one had 125.
The guy was accusing us.
But addressing the media after the declaration of the results, Bernard Mona called on his contender, David Apasara, to join hands for the battle ahead to help the party win power. He also promised a credible and incorruptible leadership if elected as president of Ghana.
To my competitor, the Honorable David Apasara, in this just ended National Delegates Congress, I call on you to join me as we work to address the challenges ahead. The challenges ahead do not take any side. Hence, I call on you. All party members and all those who separated from us to quickly join ranks with the PNC and the BAM for Change agenda. As a people-centered leader, I promise to work tirelessly for all Ghanaians.
In a closely contested race, Samson Esaki Awongobet secured 893 votes to emerge as chairman of the party, while Hadia Hajara garnered 460 votes. The general secretary race also saw tight competition, with Ishaq Awudu obtaining 690 votes, while Yakubu Farudin closely followed with 645 votes. For the National Women's Organizer position, Esther Osei Danso emerged victorious with 876 votes. Mark Eusu Akon was also elected as National Youth Organizer with 692 votes.
That was a report filed by my colleague Obed King Gaglo. We are joined on phone by Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, a political scientist with the University of Cape Coast, for a conversation on the back of this development. Doc, if you can hear me, thank you very much for your time. I believe that you may have monitored what happened today. And in the case of these independent candidates, are they likely to cause an upset? Hello, Dr. Asante. Well, Dr. Asante-Okyere is a political science lecturer with the University of Cape Coast. We had wanted to have a conversation with him on the back of political parties filing their nomination forms today to contest in the upcoming December polls. So far, we've had the NPP contest. The NDC has done same. We've had parties like the APC. We've had the New Force. But my colleague Calvin tells me that Cheddar couldn't register the New Force as a political party before this nomination. And so he's had to contest as an independent candidate. Also, smaller political parties have elected their preferred candidates to lead their respective parties in the upcoming elections. But will their choice have any impact on the upcoming elections? We will engage a political scientist on the conversation. But before that, let's take a listen to the choice of some of the small political parties.
The People's National Convention, Convention People's Party, and People's National Party have selected their flag bearers ahead of the 2024 general election. The Convention People's Party, CPP, has also selected its former national chairperson, Nana Akosua Frimpong Sapon Kumankuma, as flag bearer. The People's National Party, PNP, which is a breakaway party from the PNC, has settled on Janet Asana-Nabla, who was the former general secretary for the PNC.
But we have Dr. Asante-Okyere on the line now. Doc, thank you very much for your time. I believe that you paid attention to what happened today with regards political parties filing their nominations. We have seen some independent candidates trooping in to file their nominations as well. As a political scientist, what do you think their impact will be on the December polls?
I didn't. Your line was breaking. Can you take your question again?
Right, Doc. So I am asking that if you paid attention to today's...
Hello?
Hello, Dr. Asante.
Yes, madam.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Great. So I'm asking that if you paid attention to today's events which happened at the Electoral Commission, you would notice that some smaller political parties also, alongside the two major parties, trooped in to file their nomination forms. As a political scientist, are we likely to feel any impact of these small political parties?
Your network today is troubling. Well, I think that, let me say good evening to your listeners and to your good self. But of course, this is testament of what democracy brings. Whether you're a minority or majority, we want our views to be represented. And that's the more reason why everybody is ready and willing to pay that particular filing fee. But upon a second thought, I want to view that we should have raised this filing fee to about 300,000. I am one of those who advocates for minority parties or minority views in our democracy. I am one of those who advocate for that. But come to think of it, to the point where everybody thinks that they can be president, then I think that is very annoying, it's very irritating, and I think that we have virtually brought the presidency to its lowest ebb. And that in itself does not really augur well for our democracy. You see, democracy does not really mean that there must be that kind of commotion or some kind of unbridled, how should I put it, like everybody thinks that, well, we all have our right, we all want to be this. That is not the case. There are so many people in this country that are contributing to our quota, not in terms of being president, but in terms of, ensuring that things are done right, and they are doing their best, employing more than what even government can employ within the public sector. So we all cannot be president at the same time. We need to let the system work, yes, but of course, we also have to be a bit reasonable in the way and manner we think that we must occupy the top-notch position, in the country before our voices could be heard. I don't think that really augurs well for our democracy.
Doc, would you say that these political parties are wasting their time?
Certainly, they are wasting their time. I mean, if the party in government, Dr. Baumia, whenever he speaks, is attacking Mr. Mahama, then it means that is his main target. You can realize that. As long as these political parties don't have any structures in place, they're just wasting their time and their, little resource. It is much ado about nothing. In as much as we may not be so happy about the duopoly, we still have the democratic process and the internal structures to check the excesses and the kinds of things that these two main political parties within that we really don't like. I pray that we'll be able to implement the Constitutional Review Commission's report. And once that is done, I think that we'll be making a headway in our democracy and ensure that the presidency is not that too powerful. Other than that, we'll get to a point where, some people will be compelled to either stage a civil insurrection or some miscreant within the military could do something untoward. But we need to ensure that the tenets of democracy, the internal structures of democracy, really work for all of us. Other than that, our democracy will fail.
Doc, I understand you say that Ghanaians in general are tired of the duopoly, but don't you think that these parties can be strategic enough to cause a shake-up among these two political parties?
They are not together. They may not even get to 1% of the total population in terms of those who are voting. The main problem is that they think they will not win, so they will not waste their vote. So that is the main problem. But their views don't really matter. Ask yourself, Tutu, within the whole year, do you hear of their views in terms of this is what our party stands for? This is our viewpoint with this particular issue. This is our position as far as this particular issue, the National Cathedral, as far as SML is concerned, as far as PDS is concerned. What is their position?
Oh, but Doc, you'd acknowledge that a party like the New Force is proposing some 12 pillar policies that he believes will change the fortunes of the country. Don't you think this will be anything positive for Ghana?
You do not consign your campaign only on air and think that that is it. What strategies does he have in place?
Right.
The only thing he's doing is just on air. But people are using their legs. So many people don't watch TV, they don't listen to radio. So you need to do the legwork. Do you have what it takes? Do you have strategies in place? Do you have a branch? Do you have branch executives? Do you have constituency executives? Do you have regional executives? Do you have party elders? Do you have national executives? The only thing is that you have a flag bearer. And it's like APC, for example. It's like a quadrennial ritual. At the end of every 4 years, it's reinstated as the leader of the party. That's where it ends. So you see, it is beyond that. We need to do the legwork and make sure that though we may have good ideas, don't wait till it is about the election time and you go out there and propose those beautiful ideas. No, we need to see that within the period that a particular party is in government, and you should be talking and you'll be giving us the different views. If you don't do that, then you are just an electoral machinery, and that is where it ends.
Right, Doc, as a political scientist, what would be your collective advice to these political parties that you say are evidently wasting their time?
Hello?
Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't hear that your line went dead.
I apologize for that. I was asking that as a political scientist, what would be your collective advice to these political parties that you say are wasting their time?
Hello?
Hello, Doc.
Today your network is terrible.
Hello, Doc. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Great. I'll try for the last time. I was asking that what would be your advice to these political parties that you say are evidently wasting their time?
In actual fact, I didn't hear any question of yours. The only part I heard was evidently wasting their time.
Yes, so what I want to find out is, as a political scientist, what would you tell the political parties that you say are wasting their time? Unfortunately, Dr. Asante-Okyere cannot hear me due to some technical glitches, but that was Dr. Asante-Okyere, a political scientist with the University of Cape Coast. You're still listening to Starr Today.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
Away from that, now the Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Joseph Adu, has attributed the growing incidence of smuggling of cocoa beans in the country to Russian-linked military group Wagner. The country in recent times has seen its cocoa output reduce significantly in the last few years, attributed to overaged trees, climate change and illegal mining activities. But Cocoa Board has also bemoaned what it says is a growing trend of smuggling in recent weeks. Now, speaking to journalists, Joseph Adu pinned the growing smuggling trend to Russia, who he says cannot access the European markets.
You see, the smuggling that is taking place today is being fueled by these Russians who are they are not even, they can't stay in Cote d'Ivoire, but we have some in Burkina, some are in Guinea-Bissau in that area, Liberia, and then we have some in Togo, and then Benin. So recently we did some checks in West African data, that is a survey, and it turned out that whereas Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire production is going down, Burkina Faso production is going up, cocoa. Togo is going up, Benin is going up, Western Nigeria is going up. Now, Guinea-Bissau is going up, and then Liberia. We are in the same environment. We are all affected by the same El Nino. But whereas Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, the production trend is going up. All these other countries, their production is going up. It tells you that something is happening in all these countries. And that's smuggling. And the smuggling is from Ghana, from Cote d'Ivoire to these countries. Now, the first time I mentioned this thing, the Russian embassy in Accra wrote to our foreign ministry that I was misquoted actually. But I said we have national miscreants and national, economic wreckers who are smuggling the cocoa to these Russians. Well, Russians cannot go to the European market. So they've come here to buy the cocoa. And they can also come to Ghana. They cannot go to Cote d'Ivoire. But they feel comfortable. But we have the word is it word now? They are in Burkina, they are in Niger. Niger is also exporting cocoa. Niger. If they are exporting cocoa, it means that it is your cocoa that is going there.
Well, he also adds that the Cocoa Board has reached an agreement with the military to tackle the issue of smuggling in the upcoming cocoa season.
Recently, we've arrested a lot of trucks, articulated trucks around Zebla, heading towards Burkina. 600 bags each, And what we've done about the smuggling is that the past 2 years, we instituted a policy at Cocoa Board that when any truck is arrested, in fact, by Cocoa Board's law, once a truck is arrested, the cocoa must be confiscated. 2, the person who is transporting the cocoa, or the persons, if whether person or persons, they must be prosecuted. Minimum 5 years.
You just heard that Joseph Adu, the Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board. Let's go over the phone lines now and speak to international relations expert and the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Staff College, Vladimir Danso. Prof, thank you very much for your time this evening. What do you make of the comments by the Cocoa Board CEO?
Unfortunately, I didn't hear him and I haven't heard him, but information is that he's complaining about Wagner helping in smuggling our cocoa.
Absolutely, Doc.
Outside the shores of our country. And if that is the case, then I'm completely overwhelmed with surprise because, one, this is very impossible. Wagner is not in Cote d'Ivoire, they are not in Togo, they are not in Ghana, but in Burkina. We have evidence that they are in Burkina. And it will be very, very difficult for me to find a situation they can smuggle cocoa from the southern part of Ghana all across to the border of Burkina, into Burkina, and into Russia. So I don't think it is proper to say that this is the case, and I don't think that is the case. Even if it is the case, I don't think the proper channel is being used to address the issue. I mean, putting it in the public domain and accusing Wagner of smuggling our cocoa will not solve the problem. In such a circumstance, normally what you do is to report to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who would then, with the evidence, accost the the ambassador of Russia and complain to the ambassador. We have done that before. When we had a problem with the Chinese, we approached the Chinese ambassador and complained to the Chinese. Together with the Chinese, the Chinese ambassador were able to deport not less than 240 galamseyers of Chinese origin from Ghana. So that is what you do normally. And if you are a citizen and a high-ranking citizen like that, and you try to jolt the relationship between two countries, it's not the proper channel. I don't think this is the proper way to go about it, if it is true.
Doc, I want to understand how these comments will affect our relationship with Russia.
Come again, there was a swallow of the...
I'm asking that I want to understand how you think that these comments made by Mr. Joseph Adu will affect Ghana's relationship with Russia.
Obviously, the Russians are going to be very angry. I can imagine that by tomorrow or the next, the Russian ambassador here will complain to our Minister of Foreign Affairs. I have no doubt that that is what they would do. They will complain because there must be a shred of evidence, and that Mr. Edu didn't have to do that. It is the minister who has a right, one way or the other, if we want to sustain the relationship, to complain to the Russian ambassador. And I suspect that by tomorrow, the Russians will react, either by officially denying it or responding through our foreign ministry.
Doc, let's change the focus a bit and talk about the military. Do you think that we using the military to check cocoa smuggling is a bit of a stretch?
Well, one way or the other, it depends. If it is so dire, then you can solicit the assistance of the military in chicken cocoa smuggling. Cocoa smuggling is an age-old thing. We have also benefited from cocoa smuggling in the past. When there was the war in the Ivory Coast, most Ivorians sold their cocoa to Ghana. We were exporting about 550,000 tons of cocoa yearly. That particular year, our cocoa export, rose to about $760,000, 1,000 tons. And we prided ourselves in the fact that we had increased cocoa production. No, that was not the truth. The truth was that smuggling was ongoing. And so there are several ways of making smuggling an unprofitable enterprise. By, for example, making it, withdrawing the incentive for it. By increasing our cocoa price here, nobody would want to smuggle it. Secondly, punitive measures against those who smuggle and things like that. So when it comes to the dire situation, we can actually use the military.
Right. Prof, thank you very much for speaking to us. We do appreciate your time. I've been engaging Professor Vladimir Danso. He's the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces and also an international relations expert. Away from that, President Akufo-Addo says there is a deliberate attempt by his critics to label his government, his family and himself as corrupt. According to him, this is a retaliatory act by members of the NDC following his government's pursuit of some corrupt former appointees, some of which have resulted in criminal convictions, while others are still facing prosecutions. He spoke at the opening of the ongoing 2024-2025 Annual General Conference of the Ghana Bar Association in Kumasi.
We'll strengthen the right to information, ensuring that Ghanaians have the tools they need to hold their government accountable. The passage of the Right to Information Act, which preceding administrations had failed to accomplish, was an important milestone in this regard, providing citizens with the power to demand transparency for their leaders. By the same token, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill has passed the scrutiny of the Cabinet Committee on Governance and is now ready for presentation to the full Cabinet, after which it will be presented to Parliament for its action. I'm extremely hopeful that this will be accomplished before I leave office. It is also an undeniable fact that budgetary allocations for institutions actively engaged in public sector accountability, that is the Office of the Auditor General, the Judiciary, Parliament, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, RAJ, the Ghana Police Service, the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, EOCO, and the Financial Intelligence Center since I assumed office in 2017. At the end of 2023, to ensure that institutions of state of relevance in the anti-corruption agenda are properly equipped to discharge satisfactorily the mandate of their offices. I'm aware that there's a deliberate, politically motivated effort to stigmatize my government, my family, and myself as corrupt. I suspect, as payback for the damaging allegations of corruption leveled against members of the erstwhile Mahama administration, some of which have led to criminal convictions and others are still being prosecuted in court. In spite of scrutiny by credible public institutions of virtually all these allegations of misconduct on the part of my government, my family, and myself, which have been found to be baseless, the leader of the opposition, the perennial NDC presidential candidate, continues to describe me as a clearing agent. It is important that I reiterate that I will not abandon under any circumstance recourse to due process in the fight against corruption. Be that as it may, in any event, I will leave it to the Ghanaian public and people. I will leave to the judgment of the Ghanaian public and people to decide whether it is preferable to be a clearing agent or government official one.
The president has also jumped to the defense of the Chief Justice proposal to increase the number of Supreme Court judges to 20. He believes this will maintain the strength and efficiency of the judiciary.
Use the same vocabulary to describe the decision of the ordinary bench of the Supreme Court in 2002 in the now celebrated Chatuchikata fast-track court case, which the full bench of the court ultimately voted on review. In the same vein, let me stress that the Ghanaian judicial system, unlike its American counterpart, with which some seek to draw comparisons, operates with distinct mechanisms, particularly in the of judges. For instance, while U.S. Supreme Court judges are appointed for life, Ghana's system prescribes time limits to judicial appointments, ensuring that our judiciary remains adaptive and attuned to the current needs of our nation. The recent proposal by the Chief Justice to appoint additional judges to the Supreme Court, which some have criticized, was a necessary and well-considered action to maintain the strength and efficiency of the judiciary. It is important to note that even in the United States, President Joe Biden has recognized the need for judicial reform, proposing changes to the Supreme Court to ensure it remains effective and reflective of modern values. This global perspective highlights that judicial appointments and reforms are essential aspects of maintaining a just and functioning legal system.
You just heard the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, speaking there. But let's have a conversation on the back of this. And joining us for more is the Director of Conflict Resolution at the NDC, Abraham Amaliba, who himself is a lawyer. Counsel, thank you very much for your time this evening. The President says that he has seen a deliberate attempt by your party to label he, his friends and his family members as corrupt. How do you react to this?
Thank you for calling me. When Martin Amidu referred to the president as mother serpent of corruption, Martin Amidu was his employee. So is it the NDC that employed Martin Amidu who then referred to him as mother serpent of corruption? This president does not know that his administration is not only the most corrupt in Ghana, but his administration is also the administration that has mismanaged Ghana's resources. The biggest hole in the West African sovereign, even in the world, can be found in Ghana. Look at the amount of money that was pumped into it. So he shouldn't find solace in the NDC. This accolade as the mother serpent of corruption is bigger than what the NDC will say for anybody to listen. So he should get his facts right. It's not the NDC, but even people in his own party have said it.
If you insist the president is corrupt, as a party, are you looking at prosecuting him? Should Ghanaians vote for you?
The former president has indicated that when we come to power, all those who are set to have mismanaged the resources of this country and all those who have touched money in their homes, like the Minister for Sanitation, Cecilia Dapa, would all be prosecuted. So the president, if it is found that, yes, he has engaged in corrupt practices, we shall investigate him first. And if that is established, we will prosecute him.
Counsel, thank you very much for your time this evening. I've been engaging lawyer Abraham Amaliba, Director of Conflict Resolution at the NDC. Let's still stay with the happenings of the Ghana Bar Association. And the president of the association, Yahweh Champon Boafo, has slammed the majority chief whip, Frank Anodompre, over comments that the NDC caused more water pollution during their tenure than the governing New Patriotic Party. He described the comments as irresponsible and called for a unified national effort to address the Galamsey menace rather than politicizing it.
Let us also not forget in haste that Galamsey is still with us and wreaking havoc on our forests, water bodies, and the livelihoods of thousands of families whose farmlands and crops have been affected. Galamsey or illegal mining is still a topical issue that deserves comment. The harmful effects of Galamsey are all around us. Last year, I mentioned a statement from the Pediatric Society of Ghana in which its president, Dr. John A. Appiah, has established from their studies of how the Galamsey menace is contributing to deaths among children, as well as cognitive deficits which affect their school performance and suspected to cause congenital malformations. To make matters worse, the Ghana Water Company Limited in the Central Region recently released a statement dated 31st August 2024 with the heading, Water Supply Challenges Emanating from Illegal Mining Activities, in which it announced water supply challenges within Cape Coast, Elmina, and surrounding communities, resulting from a demand-supply gap as a result of inadequate raw water received at the Secrehimine Water Treatment Plant as a result of Galamsey. And there are several stories like this reported in the media about the region menace of illegal mining. On 2nd September 2024, my joint online also reported that the Ghana Water Company Ashanti region has forewarned that residents in Obuase and adjoining communities face a looming water shortage as illegal mining activities continue to ravage water bodies in the area due to the pollution of the Danso River. Similar stories have been reported in other regions. There are fears that Ghana will be facing a water crisis soon require importation of drinking water. Some recent reported visit by some popular journalists in Ghana to some of our major rivers with accompanying pictorial and video evidence show that these major rivers across the country have been polluted, showing impunity and lawlessness of those actively destroying our lands and rivers and their equally shameless financiers.
You just heard the president of the Ghana Bar Association speaking there. You are still listening to Starr Today. Up next on the broadcast is the campaign trail. This is your simply the best station, Starr 103.5 FM, and EIB remains your 2024 election hub. It's now time to take you on the campaign trail. It's now some 7 minutes to the hour 6. And tonight on the campaign trail, my guest is a former deputy Nasara coordinator of the New Patriotic Party in the Northern Region, Hajia Salifu Rabi, who has served the party in so many different capacities, and now coming in as Deputy Communications Director going into the 2024 elections. You would certainly be interested in this conversation happening in the next few minutes. She is also currently a member of the National Zango campaign team. My guest, Hajia Salifu Rabi, has already taken her seat in the studios. Remember that we are live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM. And you can also send us a WhatsApp message with your questions on 055-288-0216. Again, 055-288-0216. This is your campaign trail. Hajia, welcome to the studios.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. I also serve as one of the national Zango campaign team members. Mm-hmm. And then I wish to say good evening to all Zango campaign team members. We are really, really with our people, and it's so much fun working with them. Okay. We are always with them, and it's lovely going back home to say Munzo munzo muimuko maganan siyasa.
What does that
and
mean?
Everything is like we have come, we are home, and we are discussing politics. And it's indeed very, very nice for us on the ground.
I see.
Yeah.
Were you with Baumia when he was filing his nomination forms today?
That is the more reason why I'm in Greater Accra today. Because I had to step out and say, look, I need to go and support the man of vision. And I need to really work closely behind him to give him that solidarity. Since I'm not a parliamentary candidate somewhere, I was available to support.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Very well, Vanessa. But even before we go there, I was in studio here and I did listen to my big brother, Amale.
I was actually going to that.
You would do that. Okay, so let's do the opening.
So he says that Akufo-Addo's claims that there's a deliberate attempt by the NDC to label him as corrupt is not true because there are facts to prove that he's indeed corrupt.
Yes. And I liked where he landed. He said when Akufo-Addo is investigated and being proven guilty, and that is it. He who alleges must prove, isn't it?
Okay.
We do have the records of proving. The most recent one is the Sedina Temoklo one. 90 million cedis. A whole lot to the state. She's a woman. It's sad to talk about her like that. But that is what was investigated, dug in for several months, several years, and finally gotten to be established that she stole. And this is what I am saying.
Okay.
Others might call other names. Yes, go and dig, go and establish it and come back to it. I would always repeat, if you had done smartest bus branding for 3.6 million Ghana cedis, you have no case talking about corruption. If you had done 32 million of JIDA deal, you have no case talking about corruption. If you had done Woyomi, 51.2 million, you shouldn't come telling us you have issues discussing corruption.
So these are
if you had done a Mary Power deal, 600 million of these 10 power turbines with 230 to 250 megawatt. This was at 220 million. But for our government, we came to do only 600 million on this deal. If you have issues of SADA, 32 million, thinking about planting of trees with 7,000 trees, using 15 million to just do 7,000 trees. And we in 2022 using only 32 million to do 5 million trees. This is what we are talking about. So for me, Vanessa, if they come to talk about corruption, trying to tag President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I love where he landed. It is always good to prove and show the records. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will tell you, we are in the space of digitalization. We are in the space of fact check, and we are in the space of record keeping and record exhibition. If you find anybody corrupt, try and prove it, and let's get going. What we are certain about is that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is not corrupt. If he did mention that Martin Amidu said President Nana Addo was the mother of the
mother serpent
of corruption, of course, emotions could get people to say anything. And he is subject to his own explanation. But what we know is that until he is proven guilty, nobody can tag him. At least his name has never been dragged into any government official, one brouhaha.
Okay.
At least he hasn't been able to be tagged as this is the deal he's involved in. And to sum it all, His Excellency, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, is not corrupt. And that is so refreshing for us to go on campaign trail.
That's very interesting. But you mentioned a number of things you said the NDC had undertaken, which suggests that they are corrupt. Why didn't you prosecute them?
You have been following, and you are a journalist, Vanessa, and I know you have answers to the questions we are talking about. And that is what President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will always tell you. We wouldn't rush or prejudice what is in court. We wouldn't come to give you immature justice. We would follow due process and bring you all the findings like Sedna Tamaklo's own just came. Yeah.
Right. Are we not certain to see the real length of the frog after its death?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would just say let's always go with the due process. If it is about the process of law and order, he's a human rights activist. He would always tell you, let's go with the court. And I love his approach of saying, if the lawyer to citizen ratio is low, let's get the law reforms in place. Let's get people more in our law schools.
You agree when he says that 20 justices should be appointed to the Supreme Court.
20 more years, because if the judge to citizen ratio is so low, we need need that balance, and we need to get going as a productive country. Anything
We will talk about that, but let's still stay within the quarters of the NDC. And the party is insisting that they want an independent forensic audit conducted into the register. Exactly.
Yes.
Do you support that as a party?
Well, that is what they are. They're just blowing hot air. When we found out what was happening with their register in 2015, did they agree with our grievances? Did they listen to us?
But it doesn't.
Equity must come with clean hands.
It doesn't invalidate their concerns, does it?
It does. We are always patriotic and we are almost always democratic. We would never run away from whatever interrogation.
But as the NPP also supports a forensic audit.
If we find it necessary, we do. But if we don't, it is time for campaign. It is heated. People are waiting for us to come and elaborate more on our policies and everything. When we call them for debate, which is equally useful to the citizenry, didn't they run away? They know we have taken the fight to them, and they know we are doing well on the campaign train, and they are now running away from all that we are doing. They're just bringing all these audits and other things to distract us. But Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will tell you,
EC,
that he is focused.
The EC did admit that there were some anomalies in the register. Doesn't that validate their concerns?
Were recently struggling to even define what their voter album was. They were struggling to define it as either a voter list or delegate list or delegate register or whatever. So if the EC is having such challenge, we have to just encourage them to be more and more on top of their game and do the right thing for us, so that we don't get people to get opportunity of wasting people's time in this country. Because we are in for business. Bawumia is for business, and we are with him in the game.
I'll ask you one last question before we delve into your campaign proper. You also heard Frank Anodompe when he said that the NDC has caused a lot more harm under his administration when it comes to the fight against Galamsey menace as compared to the NPP. Some have described his comments as really infantile and unintelligent. What does the NPP say to that?
The most recent one is, or the easiest way to fetch, the one to fetch here, is the one we saw with leadership of NDC on campaign grounds, telling them, go and vote for us to let you continue with Galamsey. We are not hypocrites. We will get excavators of national executives, including our own mother, Mama Kate Jamfua, getting her excavators burnt. We have gotten our regional chairman of the Ashanti region being called out. We have seen the issue of the, what's his name, Charles Bisiwe and all these people. We wouldn't pretend, come to you in this studio to say we won't agree, but rather go back in the dark to tell them, vote for us, we have given you amnesty. We have listened to John Mahama, His Excellency, former president, say this over and over. Amnesty. If you are saying go, you would give me amnesty because of a vote.
I mean, I just want to understand if you also agree that those comments were needless. Do you agree?
Whose comments?
Frank Anodompe's comments.
Why needless? When he
doesn't it suggest that we are politicizing the fight against Galamsey?
It's needful because we have always told them, let's have a national discourse. We are all not happy with what is happening with Galamsey. We are all in for the land reclamation approach that is being done by the land ministry. We are all for the community mining scale, or how do they call it? The community mining. What do they call it? What's the adjective they give it? The whole community mining approach. You know, they are now grouping communities to go into group mining. So the community mining approach or model, yes, this is the word I was trying to get to. The community mining model is what they are looking for and what we are giving them. It is telling you that conscientization of these people, having a dialogue with them, agreeing that the water bodies are not really what we hope to see in this country, is what we should be looking at and not politicizing it. It's not time to politicize these issues. You go back to tell them they should vote for you, you would grant them amnesty. You go back to say they should vote for you, you would come and do what of you, simply because you want votes. But is it what we want for this country? No. We want reality. Sometimes we need to just take off the political lens and say, look, we are Ghanaians. We should get the water bodies clear. We should do the right thing. We should get the land reclamation, which is so dear to my heart. We should put the people in groups and get them to mine responsibly. Recently, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was talking about how he is going to digitalize these mining processes, having an exploration done, we knowing what is deposited at what corner, so that before even an investor comes in, he's able to tell, now, okay, in Opon Mansu, this is the deposit of iron, this is the deposit of gold, this is the deposit of this. And then we can move on as a country. This is what we are looking for.
Okay.
And digitalization, as he will always tell you, is the way to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's delve into what happened today. So your flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, filed his nomination to contest on the tickets of the NPP. Do you think Ghanaians take him seriously, considering the fact that he has earned this tag, Baulaya?
I said it on Metro TV, your sister station.
Okay.
That any deliberate effort to tag people will only expose you.
Okay.
And if you were following political process, you would gladly agree that any candidate who resolves into lying is losing the election. When you've got substance to produce, when you've got good things to say, when you've got results to show to Ghanaians, when you've got good records to show, you would never insult anybody. You would use that time judiciously to talk about what you have done. That is why when you call me, I will never use a minute of my time to talk ill of any candidate. Because my candidate has a lot of attributes that I need several hours to sit here and deliberate on. So that one, let's leave them with it. They are on it. Theirs is a campaign of insults. Ours is one of facts and figures. And we are open for fact check.
And when Bawumia says that the NPP has fulfilled about 80% of its campaign manifesto promise, that is the 2021, is he being truthful?
Very truthful. You can do the audit yourself.
Okay.
We do have the manifesto in place. This is the 2024 one, of course. You go to cross-check, ask us all the questions, and I'm always glad to even mention the Zango one. Zango, he spoke about everything. And if we had said we'll do Arabic instructor model recruitment, if we had said we'll recruit 40 boys and girls to Cuba, if we had said we'll supply schools with dual decks, if we had said we'll build toilets in various Zangos, if we had said we will give them water system, and we have been able to do all this with just one outstanding, which is the 16 model schools, it should tell you that if you are scoring us 9 over 10, it tells you that one would have been held by some challenges, which certainly will be resolved, and we'll get that done for our people.
I have engaged a number of people who say that your 2020 manifesto sort of gave them hope, reason for which they voted for the party, listening to policies like one village, one dam, one constituency, one factory. Where are the dams, first of all?
Vanessa, I'm from northern Ghana. The dams are there. Yes, we had people going with cameras to go and capture dried up spaces. That should tell you that already, when you look at climate change issues, the biggest headache of every northern person or northern Ghanaian farmer would tell you that we don't have an all year round rainfall pattern. So it will tell you, yes, if you had gone to a site to just spot that this particular place is being faced by drought at a given time, then you video it and broadcast. That is your own cup of tea. You should be proud enough to as well go back and see when the water is well collected in these same dams. Now the conversation on one village, one dam. I think yes, it's not an all correct affair, or it is not 100% score affair. But what I am saying is that even the conception of the idea to say let's get these dams done, it should be a discourse of, say, NPP. Yes, you have gone to dig the dams. How do we get them sustainable? How do we get to expand these dams to make them irrigable, to be able to use them as irrigation dams, to be able to get our farmers around us, collect the water, and get their farm processes ongoing properly? Then we will say we have a very serious opposition engaging us with discourse. But if you have an opposition who will come just on the 12th of March this year to tell you that free SHS, the 1D Agenda 111 is not feasible, and just run to you back sometime July to tell you vote for me, I'll complete Agenda 111, then we don't have an opposition after all. Or you want an opposition that will come and tell you I'm coming to construct 24-hour nightclub, where instead of us talking about this, we are interested in being in the nightclub. Is that what we want?
I don't want us to even talk about the opposition. I want us to talk about the NPP properly.
But it's fair to do some comparisons. I am just saying, because they would go and deliberately spot the cameras where they shouldn't be or where they should ideally be. But it's always good to also draw them gently to the truth, to the reminder that if you were able to do this, why not go back to do this? That is just the analogy I'm painting.
I understand, but I'm not even asking this based on what maybe an NDC person person may have said or posted on social media.
And
I understand.
I would
understand you had
answer to even unseen answers. There are questions that would necessarily not come in your studios, but are also demanding answers.
Absolutely.
So when we get opportunity like this, you try to answer all those questions and address all concerns across.
I am asking because about last month, there was the issue of dry spell in some parts of northern Ghana.
Is sad,
very sad.
Yes.
And I believe that these people voted because they thought the NPP had the idea to irrigate their farms, given the fact that you know how the weather conditions are up north.
Vanessa, you just said it. This is a natural cause. Nobody can politicize.
But didn't the party try to be proactive?
Drought is drought. I just told you the conversation should have been how to make these dams irrigation dams.
Exactly.
That is taking it to the next level.
If the conversation should have been this,
not to criticize it, not to say it's dead on arrival. At least my expectation is for them to even accept the truth. Okay, why are they? Like I will always say, if you had promised us 200 day schools and have come to give us 29 or 45, I will always give you the credit of 29 or 45. We've not even settled that issue yet, but I will come and give you the credit of what you have done, and then I will now come and tell you that free SHS is the way to go. So if you criticize, you produce an alternative. You don't just sit, criticize, insult, and go away. So what? So what next? So we will tell you, yes, we do score ourselves. We do take all the critics. And that takes us back to sometime last year when everywhere was hot, when people were predicting doom for this country, when everybody, even myself coming to the studio, wasn't sure about the next moment what could happen to our economy. We said, okay, bring all the critics. We will keep you posted on what we are doing. We went back to the drawing board. We looked at debt restructuring. We looked at how we were going to mobilize revenue in-house in this country. Yes, some would say tax invigilation, people were being harassed and all that, but after all, one would have also said that there was an attempt of an alternative or a solution being provided, and that is where we are today. Talk about that. You mentioned gold for oil. You talk about the oil, purchase policy. And all this, it tells you that this is the leadership we are looking for. And then look, I have many.
I will definitely give you the opportunity to tout your party's achievements. But let's look at a policy like the Planting for Food and Jobs. I have spoken to agricultural experts who say that policy has been a massive failure. Do you agree?
I disagree.
On what basis?
On the basis that, look, Vanessa, I want to fetch you some figures here.
Because you recall that the Minister for Agriculture himself is instituting a ban on the exportation of grains because he believes that we don't even have enough to provide for the country.
So let me tell you, for the past years, from 2017 to 2020, and even progressing to sometime 2022, Ghana, our own country, moved from an average growth rate of 2.7% under NDC to 5.8% under NPP. This tells you that as of 2020, 1.4 million metric tons of fertilizer was given out to farmers. And even as we speak, just recently, my constituency at the rural, electoral area, I had a call from an old man in Yabasan. We call him in Yabasan. He was telling me that, look, Rabbi, but for the fertilizer government has supported me with over the years, and even just last week, trust me, my farming wouldn't have been something to be written about. We gave out about 91,000 seedlings to farmers. You know what that means to a farmer in my place? It tells you that his production rate or the scale of production will by all means be increased. Beneficiaries of farmers under the Planting for Food and Jobs moved from 207,000 under the NDC to 1.7 million under our party or in this particular government. So it is just telling you that, oh, look, the number of the warehouses, we have the storage facilities we have sprung out in this country, the interventions we have given to these farmers, it simply tells you that is the reason why when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia goes to Bumpurugu, when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia goes to Wuliai, when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia goes to Bimbla, when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia goes to Sanargu, these are the reasons why the people pour on the streets. Because they know that it's not time for them to just accept 20 CD or 50 CDs like the NDC will always go and do for them. They will look at the DCE that was facilitating the planting for food and job. They will look at the DCE that was facilitating the LEAP program they are benefiting from. They are looking at the DCE and the Ghana Education Service and the teachers that are key players in the free SHS. They are looking at the Agenda 111 hospital, and they are looking at the travel time they would have gone on a tricycle with a pregnant woman losing her baby. Today now comfortably lying in an ambulance from Bumpurugu Yonyo to the Central to get her rescued. These are the factors that is making the people pour out to tell Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that, look, we are for you and you are for us.
Okay.
You have started.
Granted.
You probably haven't gotten to the end, but we have so much hope.
Granted. But despite all of these interventions that you say the government has made to save our agricultural or food baskets, we continuously see a rise in our food inflation. Is that not indicative of the fact that the policy hasn't been as successful as she wants us to believe it has been?
That can actually be very, very conversational.
Okay.
Because when you look at even pricing system that we are enjoying in this country, you and I will agree that nobody regulates pricing.
Okay.
Who does that in this country? It's by our system, isn't it? You get people capitalizing on situations. When people were carrying tubers of yam into studios, I bought 6 tubers of yam for less than 100 cedis on the way back to Accra. So
where exactly?
Between Buzunu, coming when you are on the Kintampo stretch.
Okay.
If you want some, I can buy some and bring to you. But what I am saying is that if they will carry that tuber of yam and now also carry that sack of yam, it doesn't bring us to a healthy conversation. What we are looking for is the beneficiaries are there.
Okay.
If Party A had done half, I should admit that yes, NPP has been able to do Agenda 111. We failed by saying it's not feasible, but we are coming back to agree that Rabi was in Pusiga and she did a live video, TikTok, to tell us she is standing in front of the facility. The chiefs are talking, the women are talking, the drones are delivering, the fertilizer is going, the free SHS beneficiaries are back to school. Look at gender parity. In Zangos, before 2017, the astrotypes in Ghana were just 3. My sister, 3. 1, 2, 3. Today, it's over 100.
Right.
And Zangos alone have taken more than... You know, what I'm telling you is that, Vanessa, let's look at the so what's behind the intervention. Football. Anybody that is associated with Zango,
I just want us to focus on agriculture for now, because farmers have dominated the headlines.
I thought we were even talking about EC today.
We will definitely talk about that. I mean, since you are here, like you said, if you have the opportunity, you like to talk about questions that have been asked even elsewhere. So I like to do the same.
Yeah, sure. No, it's fine.
This dry spell, for instance, the minister says that he had made a provision of 1 million Ghana cedis insurance premium for the farmers. Who are your insurers?
Well, the insurance or the insurers would be clearly stated by the ministry, because they probably would not be dealing with just one source or one company.
Okay.
Currently, I am not privy to all of them.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want to contradict myself by supplying you insurer A
that
or insurer B, then tomorrow I'll come here trying to struggle to declare or to clarify or what have you.
Okay.
But what I am telling you, or what is very significant for us to note, it's about the approach, the intervention, the attempt to come with it is also commendable. It is something that, look, even if you disagree with MPP, just sit and say, okay, where do you want to be?
Okay.
That's just what I am talking about.
Why is Ghana still paying for COVID levy when COVID doesn't exist in this country?
The impact of COVID is continuous. I want to wake up to a day, just like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, where we will not pay these COVID levies. But until then, we are pleading with Ghanaians that gradually we'll get it off. But to also remind you that the impact is not just a one-day off thing. If the impact is there, the mitigation should also continue.
Okay.
It is sad that we are going through it, but I am so optimistic that, look, we will get off the hook and we all will be fine.
But you are promising to scrap that levy off. That you're promising to scrap the COVID levy, the emissions levy, the e-levy.
That's what I just said.
Why are we paying for all of these now?
I'm just telling you the impact is transitional. The impact is continuous. And when it is time to get it off the hook, it will certainly go.
But if you say it is transitional, it gives me a sense of uncertainty. So why then do we have to listen to Bawumia and take his word for it when he says that if you vote for me, I'm going to scrap all of these taxes off?
Yes, like he would tell you. The reasons why we have to still soak such pressure currently haven't gone.
Okay.
They haven't left us. That's why I'm saying the
But
impact is continuing.
Do,
It is
do,
with
do,
us.
do you think they'll leave us when we vote for him? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that, look, decisions are being taken and you have limits to who takes decision. Vanessa, as you speak behind this console, there are some decisions you look at and say, okay, probably my boss hasn't really looked at that.
Okay.
So if he has better ways or other ways of mitigating those harsh conditions or policies or decisions, yes, let's wait and see how he can do it. And he has provided us with that. Remember that new came what? New laws. It's about the approach to reaching to the solution and not just the ultimate solution.
Okay.
And he told us he is only the driver. And Mahama, former president, is the best person to tell you the position of a vice president in this country, besides what our constitution says. Being limited to some limited activities or stepping in for the president when some things are done. At least that one we have to even applaud Bawumia for it, because he has been a very visible vice president. He has been very instrumental in this country, and he is even being held responsible for certain policies in this country. Was Mahama able to do that? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about taxes, the NPP is promising to scrap off the betting tax. That's what it's promising to do. And you're also promising to create jobs. Help me understand, how do we juxtapose these two?
Creation of job has nothing to do with betting tax.
Don't you think that if people were employed, there won't be the need to be involved in betting?
It's not all unemployed people that are betting.
But majority of them are.
I don't have that figures. If you have done any research, you can share with me. But I don't have any figures supporting that majority of unemployed people are betting. I don't have any figures support. Do you have?
I don't have any
So fantastic.
official.
We can't conclude on that, and we can't read to that assumption because when you speak vague, when you give speculative statements, they come back to harass you. And I always try not to do that in my communication. I don't say things I'm not sure about. What I know is that we have supplied Ghanaians. That is why when our manifesto came, it got intellectuals really thinking in this country. It got people in this country who are discerning as we have always known them, to probe more, to ask questions. And that is why majority of people, and I would say majority on a cursory look, are very comfortable with our manifesto.
Okay.
We saw somebody launch a manifesto in this country, and the next 2 hours we never heard anything about it. All we could hear was pork and who is praying and who doesn't pray and what have you. Is that what your policies are reduced to, sweetheart? No. I'm happy to come and open here on a different day. Then we take all the 14 thematic areas, one after the other. Then I will tell you my level of appreciation of these thematic areas. And if I have facts and figures to support that, to tell you this is the reason why I think these 14 thematic areas are achievable, then we can have such conversation.
Okay.
But until then, I know we have given ways of creating more employment. Over 2.1 million quite recently, as we all see, has gone already. People are glad today.
You said that you created 2.3 million jobs in 2017.
When you go on the streets, you see our police service. They are always getting me more and more excited. When I see them, you see them in good uniforms. You see them in very healthy-looking motorbikes.
Is the government sponsoring their uniforms?
Hey, sweetheart, when you talk about uplifting the face of Ghana Police Service, even the decisions that go into what they eat, it's all inclusive. We have seen the bungalows provided for these people to give them emotional well-being, their welfare. We have seen the number of motorbikes, over 1,500, the last time I checked, has been supplied to these people. We have seen some of them now, like the American police, having cameras mounted on their uniform. We have seen people now extremely careful when they are jumping traffic, because there is a system in place checking you. This is governance. This is what we are looking for. And we have seen the number of beneficiaries that are also calling to say, look, I have gotten immigration. Some haven't gotten. That is true. Look, trust me, even 2,000 to come. we will still have some people in this country who will be looking for employment. You know why? Because people will keep graduating and graduating and graduating.
Okay.
That's why I'm so excited about the Ghana Report Summit. Their job fair they want to do at the Independence Square. It's coming in a few days.
Okay.
And I'm so excited.
Okay.
They want to bring players. They have gone to outsource some jobs, about 5,000 of that. And they are happy to share that with people.
Okay.
You come, you get interviewed, they get your qualifications, and they facilitate the job acquisition
No problem.
process.
Let's talk about education now. I mean, you instituted a very beautiful free SHS policy, but the president today is advising that individuals who believe the quality does not meet their standards should take the awards to the private schools.
You know why?
Is that a fair comment to make? I mean, because you know that
yes.
people have been calling for a review of the policy.
So you know, Vanessa, when we speak as beneficiaries, it makes it more beautiful, in the sense that we saw at a point in this country where middle-aged people, where middle-income people, where people who are elite wouldn't just take their awards to government school, not just even basic, including second cycle, isn't it? Now you have people very comfortable having their awards into government schools. You know why? Because the STEM approach to learning, TVET has been improved. The facilities, although we are not there yet 100%, has been far, far improved. We have seen the sense of shelter and security these students are enjoying.
So you argue that the policy offers quality education.
What I am dragging to you is that, look, or what I'm driving at home here is the fact that for some of the private schools, I don't want to generalize, for some of them, we know the level of extortion that goes on there. We know the level of enjoyment of monopoly that goes with them. And when you talk about the enjoyment of monopoly here, the person would have sat back and said, okay, look, the government schools are not given. So they by all means will bring their awards to the private. And we know the kind of threat, intimidation, and even sometimes, I don't want to call that bully, but the pressure parents would have to soak to quickly go and pay school fees because maybe or private school. But today, we have government schools that are giving same value. We have government schools that you get your awards in, and you don't even get shy to tell Vanessa that my girl is in that government school, because there is improvement.
Okay, but there are some concerns that this free SHS policy has sort of increased in discipline in our senior high schools. Do you agree? And I think that the recent case study was what happened in O'Reilly Senior High School.
Vanessa, it's just time and moment for me. I would tell you that, look, for me, giving somebody access to education has nothing to do with their culture or discipline or attitude.
Okay.
We have provided access to these people who wouldn't have gotten school.
Okay.
When you look at our moral fiber in this country, I'm from a village. I will tell you some years back in our communities, parents could shout at a child saying, I'll whip you if you don't stop that. The parents will come and support the parent to discipline the child or correct the child. Today, go and attempt removing a child from danger. The same parent will come and tell you, you didn't give birth to my child. So even in our communities, being each other's keeper has gone. Not all, but we've lost majority of that. Or chunk of that. And I am telling you, as much as people are just looking at it on the surface and trying to align that to their indiscipline, it also tells you there are some schools where others would have said, if my child hadn't gotten to schools like Wegehe, I have always wanted my girls to go to Wesley Girls. Today you can have, and I do know, if Napa Atia Suleimana is listening to me, she sponsored a brilliant but needy girl in Nantong. The girl got admission in Wegehe. You know why? Because free SHS and the placement system took her to Wegehe.
Okay.
And you can tell that when this girl is working with any average girl of Nantong, you see the difference. Has free SHS given her morals? Has free SHS given her some kind of uplift? Yes.
So
has free SHS given her exposure? Yes. The answer is yes. And we have many of Azara in this country.
So
it's just that we haven't assembled them.
You simply disagree with that school of thoughts?
I do disagree because, but for free SHS, we still had teenage pregnancy. You understand? Even before free SHS, we had indiscipline in our schools.
Okay.
What is most important is for us to direct the conversation, get all stakeholders on deck. Let's accept responsibilities. What am I not doing right? What is PTA not doing right? What is SMC not doing right? What are the teachers themselves not doing right? What are the wards, the kids themselves not doing right? What about parenting? What about community leadership? All these things should be inclusive. All these things should be discussed. And I tell you, when you go to page 170, good, I read it, and I think talking about this, it just came to mind when Dr. Bawumia was talking about that sense of responsibility when it comes to community engagement and all that. And he is looking at the welfare of the people and all that. So what I am telling you, Vanessa, I have a problem with repeating because we weren't actually coming to talk about.
No
but what I
problem.
am telling you is that let's come back as adults. Let's come
And
back
have a
as
conversation.
parents. Let's come back as stakeholders. Let's take off the NPP, NDC lens and talk about social issues when it is time to talk about them.
We are wrapping up. So now that Dr. Bawumia has filed his nomination officially to contest as the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, what is next for the party?
So it's a constitutional requirement he went to fulfill today. And I hear and have read somewhere that we are expecting to have about 34 of them or so, of these candidates. Some are independent,
exactly.
some are representing political parties. And the process is supposed to start from 9th to 13th. That is today. Today, before 9 a.m., we were already ready and we're on our way to the headquarters of the EC. We got there before 9. We're well seated. Our flag bearer respects time, and he will always say, let's respect time. We got there. The EC also were almost ready. We sat and waited. They joined us later, and then they had the process on. What actually caught my eye was the fact that these forms were to be vetted by two separate teams. One was the IT one, and the other one was going to look at other credentials. This is a very good one, because if they take these forms and are to review them, certainly if there is a need for correction, certainly if there is a need for interrogation, they will get some of the people, especially the candidates that we hear. And I'm just saying this based on hearsay, that are not too credible or are a bit corrupt. They need to really, really dig into their documents and know whether they have some corruption allegations they are cleared. They looked at their tax clearance, have they been paying taxes and all that. And for we women, fees for the nomination is half the price of what the men are paying. That is good news for myself and you, at least for our girls, for other women. Kamala Harris should be the standard point for now. And one day, any of us could be something or somebody in this country or other countries that probably will be monitoring us.
But are you following happenings in Wali Wali?
Yes, I am. The last...
So Dr. Kabiru is accusing his opponents that she's been supported by the flag bearer of the party.
Allegations.
Those are simply allegations.
I don't talk on speculations.
Okay.
If Dr. Kabiru has any evidence to discuss with me, or Mama Lariba has any evidence to show, then I'm happily going to talk about it. And more so, I am a national executive who is supposed to be facilitating this process, and not every information that I can actually bring out immaturely or prematurely.
Okay. So Hadia, in rounding up, what are your final words? Why do you think the Ghanaians should join the NPP to break the AIDS?
Because beautiful girls like you are in NPP and are not just women.
I am not in NPP.
Productive. I said beautiful girls like you, beautiful ladies like you, like you. The key word is like you, not you.
Okay.
But even if you're NPP, what's wrong? Because of your work?
I'm not.
Because of your work? Sit here and say you're not NPP. I'm saying like you. And the operational word here is like you.
Right.
In NPP, a brainy, beautiful woman like you is always given the opportunity to explore and to grow. That is what we are known for. In NPP, when you come and you want to be educated, we support you wholeheartedly. In NPP, when we are giving out the nomination forms to give, there are some places they even try to say, okay, can the men look at allowing the women to go negotiation and all the empowering women? When you come to the youth, in NPP, you have young people taking up positions that they push them to say, look, just today I was listening to Honorable Damboche, and he was talking to myself and some other young people that, look, Rabbi, you guys should be stepping forward all the time. I know it's not easy, but when we exit, the party is going to be in the hands of you. We have leaders who think like this, you understand? And what kills it most, permits me to be a bit religious, the NPP doesn't know ethnic, gender, religion, and all. Initially, they said it was a Akanfo party.
I find that very...
Initially, they said it was a Akanfo
debatable.
party. Initially, they said a Akanfo party. Even if you had your reservations, the choosing or the nomination of myself as Deputy Director of Communication at the National Party Office, the leadership of Mama Rita Sobaire as second vice chairman, the presence of Aziz Haruna Futa as Nasara coordinator, the participation of Mama Kate as a woman, the existence of Ewes, the existence of Gans, the existence of Grushis, the existence of Mampurushis, the existence of Hausa people, the existence of very young woman like myself should tell you that the party is a diversified one, and we don't discriminate.
So that is the reason Ghanaians should join the NPP in breaking the AIDS.
NPP is fantastic. It's for all, and we go with all inclusive.
Okay.
And to end that, the Bari community has actually given me some sense of responsibility by elevating me into one of the disciples of the current national Bari chief.
Okay.
Making me the development agent for that. So when it's 27th of this month, I shall be given
that'll be your coronation.
Mandate, yes,
okay.
And I'll get you invited to come and witness that. Because we need to use our support, our network and everything, sending it back to our people and building the community.
Absolutely. Haja, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. I've been engaging the Deputy Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, Hadia Rabi Salifu, and this has been your campaign trail here on Starr Today. That has been it for Starr Today. Thank you very much for listening. For more news updates, do log on to starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Have a good evening.